All right. So we're back for another deep dive. And, you know, time is precious, right? So we're jumping right into these, they're calling them pasted text snippets.
Pasted text, yeah.
Yeah. And they're packed with simple health tips. And I mean like actually useful stuff. We're talking nutrition, exercise, mental well-being, the whole shebang.
Yeah, you know, what really struck me was how they all connect.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about one thing, like it's all connected, you know what I mean?
Totally. Like a ripple effect, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with nutrition.
Yeah.
I saw this colorful plates thing and I kind of rolled my eyes. I go, great, another Eat the Rainbow lecture. But then I kept reading.
Yeah, it's deeper than that. Like it talks about specific color combos like red bell peppers and spinach.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you get vitamin C from the peppers and iron from the spinach.
Okay.
And get this, the vitamin C actually helps you absorb the iron better.
Whoa. Seriously. I had no idea.
Like a little strategy on your plate. It's kind of fun, right?
That's way cooler than just Eat the Rainbow for sure. Okay, next up. We all knew this was coming, hydration. But these pasted text things had a twist.
Yeah, I mean, we've all heard 8 glasses a day. But this went further. It actually talked about the temperature of the water.
What? Like there's a right temperature.
Well, according to this research, maybe, it says warm or even hot water can be better for digestion and metabolism, even detoxifying. Something about increasing blood flow and flushing toxins.
So maybe ditching the ice water sometimes.
It might be worth trying, right?
Especially after meals, that makes sense. Okay, moving on. Mindful eating. I thought another thing to be mindful of. But it was actually pretty interesting.
Right. It went beyond just chewing slowly. It was about using all your senses while eating, like the colors, textures, smells. Apparently, it can actually change how your brain perceives taste.
Really?
Yeah, it's about the connection between our senses and feeling full. Like when we're distracted, our brains don't fully register the food.
So like scrolling on your phone while eating.
Yeah, exactly. And then we end up eating more, but not feeling satisfied.
So by really paying attention, we actually feel more satisfied with less food.
Exactly. Like tricking your brain into being full.
I'm totally guilty of the phone thing.
Yeah.
But this mindful eating thing, it's not about deprivation. It's about enjoying each bite more.
It's way more sustainable, right?
For sure. Okay, so we talked about fueling our bodies. What about putting that energy to use?
Exactly. Let's talk about exercise. And don't worry, we're not talking about crazy workouts.
Good, because sometimes the gym just feels like a chore.
Right. This is about making movement fun.
Okay, I like fun.
So this source suggests finding something that matches your energy.
Like my personality.
Yeah. If you're social, maybe a dance class or a team sport.
Ooh, I like that. Instead of forcing myself to do something I hate.
Exactly. It should feel like an extension of you.
Love it. But what about days when I don't feel like a full workout?
Well, there's this concept called incidental movement.
Okay.
It's about finding those little opportunities to move throughout the day.
Give me some examples.
Taking the stairs, walking, or biking instead of driving. Even stretching while waiting for the kettle to boil.
Oh, I see. It's like sneaking in movement.
Right. And it all adds up. Plus, it doesn't feel like another thing on your to-do list.
That's a good point. Okay, so we've got nutrition and exercise. Now let's talk about mental well-being. It's all connected, right?
Absolutely. And just like with the other stuff, there are simple but powerful things we can do for our minds.
Okay, let's hear them.
First up, gratitude.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
But this source went beyond just keeping a journal. It actually talked about expressing gratitude to others.
Like actually telling people.
Yeah. Studies show it strengthens relationships. And it boosts your own happiness, too.
Wow, spreading and receiving good vibes.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a big thing, just a text, email, or telling someone in person you appreciate them.
You know what? I'm going to do that today. Okay, what else for mental well-being?
This one might surprise you. Embracing boredom.
Wait, what? Isn't that like the opposite of what we're told?
I know, right? We're always plugged in, always busy. But this source says boredom can actually be good.
Okay, I'm listening.
When we're bored, our minds wander. We daydream, we make new connections. It can spark creativity and even relaxation.
So it's like giving our brains a break.
Exactly. Think about it. You probably get your best ideas when you're not focused.
That's so true.
So maybe boredom isn't so bad after all.
Okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. Maybe schedule some boredom time.
Love it. It's like a mental detox.
So we've talked nutrition, exercise, mental well-being, all these simple changes. It's amazing how much they can impact how we feel.
And the key is consistency. Small changes done consistently become habits.
Habits that transform our lives.
Exactly.
It's not about perfection, it's about progress.
So true. And we'll be back soon to dig even deeper into all this. Stay tuned.
You know, one thing that really stood out in this pasted text was how it talked about mental well-being. It wasn't all serious, you know. It actually emphasized tapping into our playful side. Oh, I like the sound of that. Tell me more about this playful side.
Well, it basically said that as adults, we forget how to play. We get so caught up in work and responsibilities that we lose that sense of joy, that wonder that kids have.
It's true. I remember building forts and making up stories for hours. When did I stop doing that?
Right. But the good news is we can get it back. This pasted text encourages us to find ways to play as adults.
Like what? Give me some examples.
It could be anything, really. Trying a new hobby, having a game night, even just dancing around your living room.
That's awesome. Just letting loose and having fun.
Exactly. And it's not just about feeling good. Play can actually reduce stress, boost creativity, even improve brain function.
Sounds like a fun mental workout.
I like that, yeah. Speaking of workouts, let's go back to exercise for a second. We talked about finding activities you enjoy and sneaking in movement, but this pasted text also had some interesting stuff about setting goals.
Ooh, goals. I'm all about setting goals, but I've definitely been guilty of setting them too high.
Yeah.
And then getting discouraged when I don't reach them.
Right. That's why this source emphasizes starting small. Like if you're new to exercise, start with 10 minutes of walking a few times a week.
Okay, that sounds doable, but what about when I want to do more?
Then you gradually increase it. 10 minutes becomes 15, then 20. It's about building momentum, not burning yourself out.
Makes sense. It's like building a habit muscle.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate the small wins. Every time you hit a milestone, give yourself credit.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
We're always so focused on the end goal. We forget to appreciate the progress we make along the way.
Exactly. And speaking of progress, let's circle back to nutrition one more time. We talked about colorful plates and mindful eating, but this pasted text also had some interesting stuff about meal timing.
Oh, meal timing. I'm always curious about that.
Yeah, so this source suggests that syncing our meals with our circadian rhythms can be beneficial.
Circadian rhythms, that sounds kind of complicated.
It's basically our internal clock, the one that regulates our sleep-wake cycle and other bodily functions. And eating in alignment with that can apparently improve digestion, energy, even sleep.
So like there are optimal times to eat.
That's what this research suggests. For example, eating a bigger breakfast and a lighter dinner might be better for most people.
Interesting. So front-loading the calories earlier in the day.
It's about experimenting and finding what works for you. But it's fascinating how these small adjustments to when we eat can have such a big impact.
You know what else I noticed in this pasted text? It talked a lot about listening to our bodies.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. I think we're all guilty of ignoring our bodies sometimes, pushing through hunger, eating when we're not really hungry, or using caffeine to fight fatigue.
Oh, all the time. But what does it really mean to listen to our bodies?
It's about paying attention to the cues, your energy levels, your digestion, your cravings, and then responding with kindness and curiosity.
So instead of fighting against our bodies, we work with them.
Exactly. We become more attuned to what our bodies need.
That makes so much sense. But it sounds like it takes practice to really get in tune with those signals.
It does, but it's a skill you can develop. Start by noticing your bodily sensations and ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me?
I like that. It's like having a conversation with your body.
Exactly. The more you listen, the better you understand.
Okay, so we've talked about nutrition, exercise, mental well-being, all through the lens of making small, sustainable changes. But what about when we mess up? When life gets in the way and we fall off track?
That's where self-compassion comes in. This pasted text really emphasized being kind to ourselves, especially when we make mistakes or face setbacks.
It's so easy to beat ourselves up when we slip up. How do we actually practice self-compassion?
It starts with recognizing that we're all human. We all make mistakes. Instead of dwelling on the negative, try talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend who's struggling.
So, like I would comfort a friend, I comfort myself.
Exactly. Imagine your friend is feeling down because they missed a workout or ate a whole pizza. You wouldn't yell at them, right?
Of course not. I would remind them that everyone slips up sometimes, and that it's important to get back on track without judgment.
Exactly. That's how we should treat ourselves, too. Self-compassion isn't about making excuses. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress and that setbacks are part of the journey.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be human. That takes so much pressure off.
Because that pressure can actually sabotage our efforts. When we're striving for perfection, we set ourselves up for failure. But with self-compassion, there's room for growth and learning.
This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening. It's not about being perfect, it's about finding what works for you and being kind to yourself along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I feel so much more empowered to take control of my health, and I hope our listeners do too.
We'll be right back to wrap things up and leave you with a challenge. Stay tuned! We're back. And wow, I don't know about you, but all those tips, they've got me thinking differently about my health. It's like you don't need some big overhaul, just a few tweaks here and there.
Right, and it's amazing how those small changes, they can really impact how you feel, both mentally and physically.
Totally.
You know, something that really struck me in this pasted text was the emphasis on the mind-body connection. It's like you can't separate the two.
Yeah, I get that. Like, when I'm stressed, I totally crave junk food. And when I'm not taking care of myself physically, my mood definitely suffers.
Exactly, it's all connected. And this source actually highlighted some practices that can help strengthen that mind-body connection.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, one that stood out to me was using your breath to regulate your emotions.
Breath work.
Yeah, exactly. So the source explained that even just a few minutes of deep, conscious breathing can actually change your physiological state. Really?
Yeah, it calms your nervous system, reduces anxiety. It can even improve your focus.
Wow, so it's not just about getting oxygen. It's like a tool to influence how we feel.
Exactly, like a built-in stress management tool.
I love that. I'm definitely going to try some breath work.
I think you'll be surprised how effective it can be. Oh, and speaking of things that can make a difference, this pasted text also talked about the power of nature.
Nature? You mean like going for a walk in the park?
Well, that's part of it, but it's more than just fresh air, you know? This source actually went deep into nature therapy.
Nature therapy? What's that?
Basically, it's the idea that spending time in nature can actually heal us both mentally and physically.
I mean, I know being in nature is relaxing.
It's more than that. Studies have shown that being in nature can lower stress hormones, it can boost your immune system, improve your mood, even enhance cognitive function.
Wow, I had no idea.
It's like nature is the antidote to all the stress of modern life.
Maybe I need to trade some screen time for some green time.
It's all about balance, and you don't have to go on some big nature retreat. Even just having your coffee on the porch or taking a walk in the park during lunch, it all counts.
I love those ideas. Little ways to connect with nature, even when you're busy.
Exactly, and those small connections can have a big impact.
So in this deep dive, we've covered so much. Colorful plates, mindful eating, the power of play, nature therapy. I feel like I have a whole toolbox of simple things I can do to feel better.
Me too, and remember, it's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about finding what works for you and doing it consistently.
Progress, not perfection.
Exactly, and enjoy the journey.
You know, this whole deep dive has been incredibly inspiring. It's really given me a fresh perspective on health. It doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming.
It's about making small, sustainable changes, and most importantly, being kind to yourself along the way.
It's so true. Well, we've reached the end of another deep dive. But before we go, we want to leave you with a challenge. Think about one small change you can make this week. Maybe it's trying a new veggie, taking a few deep breaths, or even just spending a few minutes outside.
Whatever it is, make it something you're excited about, something that feels good and aligns with your goals.
We're cheering you on every step of the way. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery. We'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive. Until then, stay curious, stay healthy, and keep exploring.